Hello and welcome. It is the 24th day of July in the year is 2019. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. Like always, all bets, trades, and of the like, that's within each his own risk and their own reward. For myself, risk reward management, always job number one. Okay, Bitcoin, 15-minute time frame. So we're looking back in here. This is last afternoon, 1600 hours. Price had a decline starting at 6:30 p.m. 1800 and a half hours. Coming down with a three hit, actually four hit, including this one in here at 7 this morning, at around the 9600 level, which is where we stand today, or right now at this time as I'm doing it. It is 12:60, 12:56 p.m. on my end, or 1300 hours almost. All right, failed breakout, obvious. A fast move instantly on this one. It didn't even just go to congestion or where it came from in this area here. It ripped through that area. Got by this four hit area of support. Looking at this on a more longer term time frame, and within the hour we can see what is three failed attempts since this top. The first one coming in here, spending some time riding amongst the 18 average of highs, an attempt, of course, to end this downtrend. That's what I mean on the attempt. As the market reversed or started to change its tune, and then it was showing resistance on the highs rather than support. And that wasn't going to tell you, oh, it's definitely going down now. Obviously, it did, though. Resist this area, after breaking this established support. Okay, that's the failed move. Fast move occurred. No attempt in here to revert the trend, just resisting in that area. It couldn't get any further. After successfully correcting through time here, came attempt number two in reverting the trend. And it was rejected immediately, not finding support at this level, and then finding what you would consider a decent leg lower. So there's leg one, two, three, and four. What is followed from leg four was this move, as I just shown on the short term. Price action immediately going from above the 18 highs, not supporting not supporting coming down to this level, which is where previous support would have came in. Don't know why this keeps lifting up when I do that, but anyway, that didn't find support here, and really it didn't. Well, might find support there. If it is, it's going to do it with a pierce below. But as of now, it hasn't done so yet. And therefore, we could be looking at, well, we've had one, two, three, maybe the fourth lower low as a possibility. On the triple hour chart, key high, key low, and amongst here we had one, I can't really count that. This was three legs lower. And then the attempt to revert the trend, it established this level of resistance and unable to get above here. It has given back the vast majority, about a more than a 61.8% correction from this high to this low. And most certainly from this high to this low, it's now given back about a 90% plus correction from that level. So it looks as if it's coming down to retest this previous level in here, which is in the low 9,000s, 91, 9,200 on the price number or the figure. No attempt yet since this has started going down to not only get above the 18 average of highs to revert the trend, but even to slow down this band. Every time it has got down there, it has done nothing to even consider the play going sideways, going in here. Had a few periods resisting it, but that's definitely not good. That's going to keep the band declining. And then just a quick brief period here, two periods, really one. And then down it goes. And then this was yet another brief period hitting the 18 average of lows. So it hasn't even been close yet. And to attempting in the reversal, because the first one, like I mentioned, band flattening out, that's just another way of stop going down or in a downtrend so that it can at least have some sort of flat 18 along the way. Sort of like, okay, there's band flattening out here. On the 8 hour, we've come up from this nice little up run. So we'll put a line to where we came from in here. First area right here at 82.54. That's I could even go a little lower than that because I'm doing a low end high end deal. That's the low end. The high end would be up towards this level of resistance in here that should match up with this support, and it looks like would match up with this support as well. Let's put a line in again. Once I find my line tool, I see it, and there we have it. So this would be the range of next support. Because we've already hit it once. We hit it here on July the 17th. And the rally in here, which got up to the 18 average of highs, and the little failed break right here on the 12-hour time frame. And not finding support in here, and it's now been about 5 or so periods going lower. So if this area breaks through, my next level I'd be looking for is around this 8,000 mark of key support. Looking at this next on the daily. And I put in the Fibonacci lines from the lows of around 32 and then the highs back here at the 20K number, which has been just bouncing back and forth. It's been between these two lines since it got above it on June the 21st. So now over 1 month of just going back and forth. And now if we go down in here, I'm talking about 8,000. That really is on the way to 6,350 if that's where it ends up going to go. Because any break of here to me would mean one of two things. Either a move to around 63 or a failed breakdown. And let me just put the Bitstamp chart back up so I can draw in here. And we'll put in a line at where the area of support is, and then the 6,300 number will go right in here in that general area. So in a situation of a failed move, it would be something looking in the area of obviously going down below, hitting the 8,000, and then relatively quick getting back into previous congestion area, which I'm going to refer to as this little area here. That would most likely be that of the failed breakdown. But when you see that and it goes down, oftentimes if I'm going to have a target level to a place where to go, and of course in here is a 63 change, that there is support resistance for on the way there. And I'm going to talk about that for the upside on the long term after this. But for the downside here, what you would expect is find some support somewhere in here, 79, something in this general area. And then maybe it keeps going lower, or maybe it has a lower high rally. You got this high, you got this high, so you make a new one. And generally speaking, you'd be talking about making it up here. Thus, when you come back, and if there ever is a move that goes part way through, then works its way back higher, well, it could be working on the failed breakdown, but it could also be resisting it and making a move to its next key point as well. That is why when looking at failed breakdowns, oftentimes you want to wait and see it not only get above the key area like this, but is it able to hold and stay above? Because oftentimes it'll do just like this type of thing before it goes up higher. Find some support in this area, establish resistance along the way. Now it could just end up going like this and having a fast, sudden move higher. And if you know the fundamental news for why that's in there, well, take advantage of it. But I don't follow news too much. On 3-day term time frame, price action into this 18 average lows, which is leaving it, looks like. We've had a little bit of support here a few weeks ago, a small rally close to the 18 highs, but not quite. Giving it back this previous week, and this week now, which is day Wednesday, so we're halfway through on the week. Not much volatility to speak of overall, as the low is 95 and change, the high is 99 and change, a differential of 400 basis points so far. Oh, this is 3-day period, that's why. I'm thinking weekly chart, which will be next. And I think I even did say week once, but and I was kind of wondering, that just didn't make sense when I said those numbers. There's no way the weekly chart is 400 volatility. So, but regardless of the fact, if this breaks down, oh my God, that's bearish, all that type of stuff. Well, yeah, but I look at it as in it came up a long way from these lows at 3,200. This is the last time it's had any type of sustained action below the 18 average of lows. It attempted going below there and here and breaking down, but couldn't. But regardless of the fact, since this move, there was one leg, two legs, three very good legs higher, and each leg is spectacular for each move. And now we got all of this empty space. On a bullish level, you really got to hold a good, like what's the lowest you can consider as a spot where if it goes down there and it even stays there even for an okay amount of time, oh, this is gross. This is not what I expected. Could this be possible long-term bear market type situation? And those are the things I'd be thinking anyway. But I realize if it comes down here, people are even going to be thinking, "Oh my goodness, why did I get fooled on Bitcoin? Bitcoin was up to 13,000. Before it was up to 20, and now it's just already pulled back. It's like 75. It's almost at half its value loss from even from here to here. Yeah, close to it would be, but not quite half its loss. The fact that we didn't find resistance here again is magnificent because I was even on a bullish level. If we were to go like this, have a pullback and go higher, well, that's fine. And on a bearish level, well, you have a breakdown, you come down, and now you have a lower high rally. Okay, well, is this the lower high? Maybe it pierces a little bit extra, but the fact that it didn't pull down in this area here and had that leg higher, to me, is optimistic. And it really hasn't had any major pullbacks within this move. And it's been a long time because the top was now like 5.5 weeks ago. This is 5.5 weeks, and it hasn't had any price action, have any large declines yet. So it's not really behaving too much for what I would expect a market to move into a longer term bear market type behavior. I don't see that. And when looking at on the weekly, this of course has been in nothing more than a secularly nice bull market. Price action has not and may not come down to where we came from at 1,000. And that's the next key long term point because technically speaking, if it were to have one of those long term points and say this is a failed move, technically that would be okay, point high or point low, point high, point low, point high, point low, and then wherever point high north of there would have to be. And that would still be bullish. But if we were going to have a play towards this low, I just it just doesn't make sense anymore to me because I wouldn't have really expected it to get above like even 9,000 low change in here. So the fact that it's managed to get it back into this level, it would tell me that I would be very weary on a bearish level on the sell-off to actually be bottom type area, especially if we do have any moves that go into the 6K area. We've got some nice established resistance in here. So any type of regaining this move, we've had some correctionary action, pretty much a sideways correction on this time frame as it is met up within the 18 highs via 4 or 5 periods. So a little bit of price and a little bit of time, a little bit of both. Not much of either though, because it's only been 4 periods. It's only been just this small little move in here. But if price action does manage to get higher, you see it. Oh, 10, 9, 11,000. That's not saying it's going to get going, but it says the probabilities for it would most certainly be higher. And then when you see it breaking above like 14.5, 14.7, yeah, that's the real move. Most likely, you're going to go to the next key level. To me, the next key level is in here at 20,000. And that's what I would be expecting. And I would have a very difficult time trying to predict if it's going to be an aggressive level of resistance. And when I say aggressive level, that means something that would pull back at least 40, 35%. And finally, on the monthly chart, key high, key low. See, we're not resisting in here. We're holding this move up here. Interesting behavior. Overall, still a sideways consolidation. So just like I said in the daily, there's really not much going on until it either breaks this high of near 20,000 or this low near 3,000. Well, that's a big volatile range, but it's a big volatile market. You might have heard the song before. Enter Sandman from Metallica. Well, enter volatility. Enter the crypto space. And I was thinking about writing a parody, then I got bored. Nah. But that song is Enter Crypto. Take my hand. We're off to Never Never Land. Something's wrong with the fiat. Heavy debts tonight and no end in sight. Yeah, I got bored of it. But that's a big reason why a lot of people are into this because of the fiat and the fundamentals for how it is made and how effective the cryptocurrency is as a measure of payment, especially in a world where transactions overseas, international, are becoming more and more common. Even people employment. and contract employees especially, where you could have somebody working miles away doing their job, contacting each other via webcam and Skype and all those sort of deals, and they need to get paid. Okay, we're going to pay you the Bitcoin or Litecoin here. Boom, it's done. And a receipt for the payment? The blockchain has things called transaction IDs. The ledger system of cryptos is public. Every transaction anyone can see. Now let's move on to Bitcoin dominance monthly chart. Yeah, for a while it was like 97% or whatever it was. That was just really high. And then enter 2017, altcoins come in. And since the bottom here in 2017, it's been going up. Move up, move, higher low, higher high, higher low, now a higher high. On the 3-day term time frame, there we can see that level of resistance break. Price action now starting to come slightly down towards this majorly rising 18, but amongst here, it is it's going down a bit. Once this Bitcoin rally comes to a conclusion, and even if it doesn't, or even if it just comes to a conclusion at a high intensity rate, I do see at some point the altcoins coming in and having fantastic moves. It may not happen, and if that's the case, then that will be a loss on my end in trying to predict on the long term that they're going to do well. But if they do, the gains will be fantastic. As within the risk reward management strategy session, of course, I talk a lot about the ratio trading that I do, and then just adjust to the markets as it goes through. But in situations where if we're to see big moves, altcoins are going to go up and down a lot faster. They have been going down a lot faster. Of course, since of course the top when Bitcoin was 20,000, and really January of 2018 when all the altcoins, that's where they all have their big tops. They've went down fast and furious since then, and because of that extra volatility, when they go up, they're going to destroy that of Bitcoin. And I wouldn't be surprised if this market in time could even go back down or even below this previous low. At least a retest of this would not be a surprise. It could very easily take 40, 60, 80, 100 weeks to take place. And it could take 9. And for me, it doesn't matter if it takes one or the other, because like I've said before, I'm always going to adjust to what it is, because only price pays. I could say something is worth this and be right, and in time be proven right. But at the given time when I need to trade, only price pays. Now we switch over to some altcoins against BTC. Litecoin, which is got into the 18 average on July the 17th. And this is the best it's done since it started going down from this 18 handle back on June the 12th. That's not that long ago, a month and a half ago. But complete straight down movement, which was then met with resistance. But during this entire time where it was resistance, nothing to even come close to flattening the band out. And then then it had a little move here, but the rally sucked. Broke support and could not find this level of support in here. Thus another low. This time it comes up to the band. Now it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days until today. So on day number 7, since that 1 week move, it's I'm making a statement. It's definitely it's screaming out an intention. There's another way of putting it. That it's ready to attempt to go to stage number 2. Stage 1 is band flattening it. That's now been accomplished. But within the action in here, I can see that it's trying to do so. Now it's really got to get above this level high here. So pretty much get past and get into the 100 to 1 ratio of 0.01. So it still has even more work to go to even really consider that into play. But when looking at it on the short term, we have this last key low and a very big rally. It established a key level of support. It's established a key level of resistance. And it hasn't tested it since back in here. So it's been a while. It's been a while. I've said this so many times before. It's so important to hold any type of moves within it. But if this thing can make that move and get over that 1 number, which makes it so easy, because to me that's where it starts to become a clear breakout above this resistance range, that it just at that point may be ready to show us evidence that this thing is ready to get going. On the short-term time frame, as you can see, we had this major level of resistance, and when it broke it, let me put a line in to make it look a little better. You hit this area so many times, it becomes so noticeable, it becomes huge. As you got one case of a small hit, and then a nice pierce above, and a few periods within it again. And then you come up in here, stating in here you're going to go. There was a pierce below, but after successfully correcting, you had another test. You come back to what at the time was a successful correction, but a failed break it to that point again. And now it's been congesting here for quite some time at that level. And then what happens when it breaks it? Oh, there we go. There's the statement that it's trying to do it. Back to where it came from. So as I've mentioned before, as far as trying to strategically wager these types of stuff, and I don't do this, but this is how I look at it, as in you want it to be barely above. And here's where a spot where if you're able to get it here, you got it. Some might say I want to even go higher than that. I want to break that resistance. And then if you're looking for, you see that it's breaking out. Okay, I'm going to put a buy order on that line where the 92.25 line is. And in this case, you can see that you would have got the hit. If it's a failed breakout, where this I'm going to draw that rectangular line above it, you're always going to buy because it's going to be here before it goes down there. In this case, it wasn't a failed breakout because we can see when this thing went, it went. And sometimes breaking key levels, you got to be fast. And we can see as it was breaking above here, well, most certainly it had to have been fast. And it was. Well, it didn't have to be fast, but it was most certainly. Managing to resist in here at about 97.9. And since then, for the last hour or so, it's been just congesting and correcting within the 18 average of highs. And on the short term, is there any resistance established? Stuff like that for this move. Whatever. Nothing too fantastic here. Let's move on next to SkyCoin. Back in here, was there any signs that this was... oversold, yeah, buy low, sell high, yeah, why not buy at 133? But then it went instantly from 133 to 268. So here we see it. All I'm saying there is that the volatility for these moves has the potential to be wild. And the empty space to previous high pretty much needs a 2x move from where we stand. Is 288 the high? If that's the case, it would be. It kind of is. So you need a 2x move to this high. And it could happen fast if it wishes. This day itself is 63%. But as the market goes in here, or as the charts show this for me, since this key high at that level at 288, we resist in the 18, not getting above it. After being below it, we hit the highs, pull back. But it holds the support area for another highs test, but is unable to hold it on its way down in here, thus leg lower. Resist the highs again. Just congest for a short period of time, 3 days really, or exactly, in at this low. And then when it breaks it, it really didn't have much of a lower low. It did. It resisted this area of support, but on this day in here, really this day, it got above that previous level. Now it's just been holding now for this is 3 days of just going sideways, and now it's doing it on the 18 average of lows, which is barely starting to increase. And within the movements of it, we can see in yesterday's session, it did manage to make a high of 152 and pull back down. And even in this one, we can see that the line has had a pull back down to 126, and we're at 144. So you can see that we've lifted off really nicely from those lows on the 3-hour term time frame. There we can see a nice little V-shaped formation. It's not quite out to the upper area, but enough to get above the 18 average of highs and almost throw that away. Pretty much at the end of this 3-hour period. It's just a pause period. I said halfway through because I was thinking hourly and 20, even if it was hourly and 23 minutes in. That's usually the good portion of the meat, if you will, or the paint of the period. It's going to come in the first 40% of the period. But the fact that it's managed to come up like that shows to me that this could be live for a good gain. Let's switch off to Ripple against Bitcoin, which has been, like all of them, in this downtrend. Comes up to the 18 on July the 17th. But we're looking at what is a successful correction, because after this giving an immediate red candle move here, bringing it back on the 18th, 5 days of extreme low volatility, starting off at the low end of the band and for the last 3 days just going to the higher end. But today making a statement, breaking out past this more shorter term level of resistance, getting closer to the resistance that occurred on July 17th. Also getting above the 18 average of highs. Further momentum will only start to make the band start to rally. We've already done stage one for the band flattening out. Any decent sized rally, I'd like to see it at least go up to about 34.5 to 35 for established resistance. So too small, too big. If it's only to go up to 34, 38, that's too small. If we go up into here, yeah, it's about right. But if we go way up here, like 41, that's too much. Now, granted, I don't mind that as a trader and a Ripple holder. I actually kind of want the too much where I wake up one day or I come home from like just a 2 or 3 or 4 hour journey out of town, and then I see, oh, wait a second, it's at like 4,800 in like 4 hours or 8 hours or whatever. It's up like 50%. Okay, that's sweet. That's the type of thing I want to see, of course. It's unlikely, but when markets are ready to go, they're ready to go. This one here back on May 14th, 15th, 4,000 up to 57. That's a differential of 1,700 points on 4,000. 2,000 would get you 50%. So that's more than a 40% gain at that point in just really a couple of days of time. Let's go up next or show Ethereum Classic next. Like all the other ones, down from a significant point. 116 down to 52. That's losing more, but barely more than half your value. Now it's 626, getting up to the 18. But the last few days in here gets to the highs in here. What a majorly low volatile pause day yesterday. Differential of volatility, high was 617, low was 595. So that's 22 basis points. That's like barely over 4%. So not much happening yesterday. As far as this here on the hourly term time frame, getting out above it at 9 o'clock. So far congesting nicely. Now I want to see it hold and stay above about 6 and a dozen, 612. I'd like to see it hold and stay above, which should coincide with the 18. But at any time, I do see that this thing can go and it's had a little bit of correctionary mode. Just because this individual red candle from the 3 going up, and halfway through this one, it still hasn't really done too much yet. It's more of a pausing in period. 15-minute term. It had that nice little run back down to the correctionary phase. So it would lose momentum if it's not able to break out anytime soon in the next 2-3 periods within the next hour from here. And if it doesn't lose momentum and it starts to break up to 628, 627, and it's doing what it's doing, sticking within this, having this nice little uptrend amongst the highs, and it has good momentum, if you see it up in this area, there's a good chance that you could just head over, get yourself a cup of coffee, speak with somebody, have a break for 10 minutes. The next thing you know, it's 657 is the price. And it's up 30 some odd points or 5%. Because breaking up above that gives you high probability for. If that doesn't the case and things settle down because it's unable to go higher, that means this 18 average, which is rising rapidly, would start to touch within price action. And if it doesn't get going, well, then you'd be working on the band flattening out, thus momentum being completely lost, and stage one for reversal going down, which is, of course, well, I've said it many times, band flattening out. And we'll finish it off with an Ethereum Classic again, but this time against Theta. Right now the ratio is 51.27. You need 51 and a quarter Theta to get one Ethereum Classic. And Ethereum Classic has been going down against Theta, but right now band flattening out and holding in there amongst the 18 average of highs. But I just really want to focus among the mathematics of it. This is June of 2018. This high is August of 2018. So in less than 1 year, we have seen price action go from 200 down to 20, and it's been up to about 75 lately, now down to 51. Volatility is big. And anytime you can pick away at these things, and I say this over and over again, but if you can sell here, buy somewhere in here, sell up somewhere in here, buy somewhere in here, sell somewhere in here. Maybe if you get this, you might miss it. You might be like, oh, I want to sell up here and miss it. Hey, I missed out on a few of them recently, like that. But if you get it, you get it. And then, okay, I'm going to buy back here. Oh, maybe I missed this one. That sucks. Maybe you didn't. But as time would move on, if you did miss this buy there, did you miss this sell? Maybe not. However, if we look at this line, this is 62, And if you're selling at 72, you'd be getting about a 10-point differential. That'd be about a 17% flip. So you can make a lot of profit on stuff like that, especially when these moves happen over and over and over again. And I like to wait for organic moves because it's always nice if you can, like, say, for example, if you're just looking at this once a day and it's back, say you're back here, it's March the 9th, and the price action on this ratio is 30, as we can see on the close. And then you wait 24 hours, you come back and you see the ratio is 22 and change, 23. I can make an aggressive trade because of the fact of the numbers. So in this case, what would you be doing? Well, theta would be overperforming at this time, so you would sell theta, probably for Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. And then with what you sold it for, you would buy the other. In this case, it would be Ethereum Classic. And then within the next day, possibly even two, oh, even the next day, if you're buying at, say, 22.58, the next day you see that it's 27 and change. That's over $5, or 5 units rather, of a differential. That's like 20%. But if that wasn't good enough for you, well, then the next day it would be a close of 32, up from 22. So now you'd be looking at a 10-point unit move, something like around 40%. And then you'd be selling some more here, up there, and all that stuff, because that's just the way markets are. They go up and they go down. And that will be the video. I'm going to make another one today, probably in a few hours, or in the evening, nighttime, between 3 o'clock and 8 p.m. Gold and silver video. It continues to have a nice little run as silver is up to 16 and 3/5 US at levels not seen since June of this year, or last year rather, excuse me, last year. So this is now at 13-month highs. And the gold to silver ratio continuing its trend of consistent, decent sized red candle down days. Talk about that later on. So thank you for tuning in and have yourself a wonderful day. Bye bye.